Welcome to Season 3 of the Builders Podcast. I'm Matt Levenhagen. Here we share the journeys, strategies, and lessons that help entrepreneurs build what's next. Builders helping builders. Enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Drew Griffin. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's a privilege. It's an honor. I'm excited to talk all the things, man. It's going to be a good episode. So let's have some fun.
Things. Yes. Oh, now he jinxed us. We will have a good episode. No, so you are the co-founder of some AI companies. You run some newsletters. You're doing a number of things. Like, just give us like a minute or two. Like, what do you do today?
Yeah. So my business partner and I, we run a number of different software companies. We have exited from a few of these titles, and we run a very specialized local marketing agency, one that actually helps other marketing agencies scale and in a little bit of a different way than most traditional agent. And a lot of it has to do with getting through the front door with a lot less friction, right? So we use this strategy using local email newsletters. We've got about 22 of these that are currently out there as a way and array to get in and start working with local businesses. So we'll talk a little bit about that, if that would serve you and your audience, and a bunch of this stuff when we get into the whole AI space. As I know that you do, development and a bunch of stuff as well. So I'm sure we can share some more stories that way.
Absolutely. And, and as an agency, whenever I hear somebody talking about local stuff, my ears perk up, because I think my intent was 8 years ago to like really tap into the local market. And I ended up just being wherever in the world, clients from wherever, Texas, Florida, here, there, and everywhere else. But I still think about local. I've kind of technically have an into the local because I have an agency partnership. So that's kind of that's my back door. Yeah. There's an local agency that I do work for. But no, it's a really good topic, and I think a lot of people will find it interesting. So before we get into that aspect, though, and we're going to circle all the way back and to talk a little bit about your origin story, your journey. You got an interesting one for sure. So if you want to kind of pick up wherever you want to pick up, like, you're 5 years old, something's happening, or whatever you think is interesting, but I'll throw it to you and let's have a chat.
Yeah, well, it has everything to do with radioactive spiders and gamma rays and all kinds of, fun stuff, evil, mad scientistry and things like that. Lots of fun. And in reality, I spent about just under 30 years in healthcare as a hyperbaric wound care nurse, which sound like, what are we talking about here? This isn't a healthcare program. But yeah, like on the science side of things, I spent a lot of time on helicopters and hyperbaric units, which is like pressurized oxygen, working specifically with diabetics, people that suffer from some of the most unimaginable disease processes that anyone could ever get their eyes on. And, the benefit of that was learning to work with people and, through various stages of their lives, and in some of the most desperate times as well. Very traumatic when you see people at their worst every single day. It can add up, and tax you pretty heavily.
What attracted you to that kind of work? Because I mean, my wife's a nurse, and and you did like the same thing all that 30 years basically.
Right. It was weird. I was supposed to go to med school. And it's crazy. Like, I was in high school, I was doing like sports medicine, kind of working as a student athletic trainer and things of that nature. And one particular event was like a cross country event just outside of Philadelphia, or inside Philly. And one of the runners was running through the woods, and there was like this hidden sign that was like behind a bunch of brush and stuff, and he didn't see it. Anyway, he sustained this head injury, and it was a pretty significant one.
He hit the sign with his head?
Yeah, he was
Wow.
running through the brush and like the trail, and then he didn't see the sign and hit his head on the sign, and ended up having a pretty significant neck and head injury. Lost a lot of blood and so on and so forth. But anyway, ended up flying with this guy on one of the medevacs to one of the local hospitals because he was so deep into like where the woods were that my first experience, in healthcare was like working with a flight nurse and working with an emergency room and stuff like that. And there was a bunch of guys there, oh, these aren't doctors, these are nurses and stuff. So I had that in the back of my head. And as I was going through college, my father passed away, and I wasn't able to immediately go into med school. So I chose that route because it was more expedient, and I was able to get out and make a pretty good living, while potentially going back to med school, and which I never did.
Mm.
Um, and then advanced and got some more advanced practicing, type of training and stuff like that. And fast forward a number of years. Around the advent of the iPhone, ended up developing one of the first apps to help diabetics track their their blood sugars, right? Blood glucose. And this was around, circa 2011, 2012, like when the SDK or the software development kit came out. And I had
Okay.
been practicing for 20 some years by that point, or maybe, yeah, about 20 years at that point. And the thing about it was, I started seeing this iPhone, in everyone's pockets,
Hmm.
and I knew that there was a problem that could be solved for a lot of people that suffer from diabetes, and subsequently ended up, developing these wounds and stuff. I developed that app, and pretty quickly that app enjoyed about 50,000 downloads of that app in the first
Well,
couple of
that's
weeks,
awesome.
which was a blessing.
How did
And
you
then I
develop it?
realized I could probably touch a lot more lives with technology than I
Yeah.
ever could being in a clinical setting. So that's kind of what the origin story is of where I am
How did
now.
you develop it though? Where did you get the skills, or did you use a platform or did you have a buddy
Yeah,
help you?
so I'm an autodidactic learner. So I learn rather quickly, read a lot, basically self-taught myself to program in that language way back
Wow.
then, which has completely changed since then. But yeah, that's kind of how it
You
came
just
about.
Did you ever you like tech? You just like dabbling in that stuff, or you saw? Did you see the idea first, and then I'm going to learn how to program to build that thing, or were you already kind of doing it on the
A
side,
little
and
bit,
and then
a
the
little bit
idea?
of both. I was always curious about tech. I was always interested in computers in general,
Hmm.
and the internet and all the things isn't like what it is today. But I was still involved in all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out how to diversify and have a little bit more quality of life and time and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
and then it just clicked. I realized that these devices were going to be pretty much universal and in everyone's pocket, whether it was Android or what we know today is the iPhone. Um, those two platforms have basically dominated the entire space for so long. So yeah, it's been good. And then I figured some stuff out with marketing, and realizing that you could solve problems with technology, or at least give them information at their fingertips, then you've got a lot of power. You've got an ability to help a lot of people, which is something that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed seeing somebody go from a really bad situation to improving, and visually seeing somebody get it and then improve. Like that was the thing that I liked about wound care. Like it's difficult to see blood pressure improve other
Uh-huh.
than, measuring it with a blood pressure cuff and so on and so forth. But seeing a wound go from something like this down to like closed or manageable gave me a lot of personal satisfaction. And these disease processes and stuff end up impacting not only the patient, but their caregivers, their family members, their loved ones, the insurance companies, pretty much everybody is negatively impacted by this. So being able to contribute that and see people's lives change was was fantastic. And I thought that was really cool, heartwarming when you see people that are basically maimed and then they're walking around and enjoying, their life style and their situation dramatically improves over time. There's a lot of personal satisfaction that way. And then moving forward with technology, being able to manage things like tracking their blood values, their activity levels, their diets, their moods, all that other kind of stuff, and then being able to report that directly to the caregivers makes a big difference from visit 1 to visit 2 and visit 2 to visit 18, where you
Sure.
can track these things and see, okay, this is exactly where things went wrong. Let's make these modifications so the adherence to the treatment plan improved over time, images, all that other kind of stuff over time. And since then, the technology has like blown it out of the water. And there's some really smart people out there, some great developers. But yeah, that was my array into doing a lot of what I'm doing now, which is like solving problems in the local marketing space.
Yeah. So you kind of, again, kind of rewinding again. So I think you said the number somewhere around 50,000 plus
Yeah, it was
downloads.
just under 50,000. Yeah.
And so how did that happen? Like, how did you take it to market? And just out of curiosity, like,
Yeah, so a lot of it was online forums and then word of mouth. There weren't
mm,
a lot of apps out at that given time, and then when you
yeah,
have
right.
like a journaling app, essentially it was a glorified journaling app, um, very specifically tied to real problems that were solved. Um, and I don't know how it really took off from there, but between that and Facebook and at the time, Twitter and was in its infancy and stuff like that. The word got out there and people found it, they downloaded it and seemed to like it. So yeah,
Huh.
it was, I don't know if it was probably a unicorn at the time, but it was a very specialized type of application and the applicability of it got a fair amount of coverage inside of journals and stuff like that. So I
And
was definitely
what
a
did that,
benefactor of that.
yeah. And what did that, did you have it, monetized? Or was it a
Yeah, it was cheap.
free
It was like a
app?
dollar 99. So that was a lot of
Nice.
money at the time to get that many
Sure.
downloads in a short period of time was tremendous. And then ended up selling that off, which was an interesting process. I probably would not. There's this balance, right? Like emerging technology only goes so far. And, if you can you can time your exit from something like that, that's benefit. It could be beneficial, but the
Mhm.
end result was I was able to do a lot more other things later on in the local marketing space and things like that. And at that time, I was working for a hospital system, and my particular boss was not a very nice person. Ended up giving me like the worst of the worst cases. Not that that really bothered me, but was not particularly nice to me,
Yeah.
in the way that she treated me. So I guess the takeaway from that was the satisfaction of leaving that practice, or that hospital system. I basically walked in and said, "Hey, I made my decision." I walked in and said, "Hey, I've got some good news and some bad news." To which she pulled me into like a meeting room with a lot of my peers, a lot of physicians and advanced practicing nurses and physician extenders and all kinds and other staff, ancillary staff. And she tried to embarrass me, like in front of my colleagues, and said, "Oh, so I guess you're leaving, right? And so what's the good news?" And said I saved $500 on my car insurance by switching to Geico, which was a very popular commercial at the time.
Yeah.
And her face changed like every shade of red. She was so mad at me. And it was
Well,
basically a
good.
mic drop
I mean,
moment.
for her to do that to you, it's like, wow.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? But, yeah, and then I
Yeah.
walked out. It was at the beginning of the shift. I was done, and, like, laughter erupted inside the room, and then she had to take, my caseload for the day. But, I
Mm,
didn't look back. It was a
yeah.
glorious day, an opportunity to trumpet the horn and walk out in a blaze of glory one way or the other. But then, it got real. Like afterwards, you have a 30-year career essentially,
Right.
and I still worked in the industry for a number of years thereafter. But leaving from that job was that amazing moment in time that it just is a staple of like, okay, this is the launch pad of where what's going to happen next. Is I figured a bunch of stuff out with technology. I realized that I could help a lot more people than I ever could, in that clinical setting, working 8 to 16, sometimes 18 hours a day, and not making nearly as much as I did with that
Hmm.
technology, all things considered.
Wow. Was it, well, it was kind of, sounds like it was exciting to leave, but were you, were you going out on your own? Were you excited, or was there fear involved? Were you kind of worried about, like, oh my gosh, I've just burned all my bridges and I'm doing this thing? Was it, what did that feel like?
Yeah, certainly there's a level of anxiety, a
Hmm.
little bit of regret, a little bit of fear, and a little bit of, excitement, like, "Oh, okay, I really need to make something of this," right? I've got young kids, married, and
Mm.
responsibilities and bills and stuff like that. But with every obstacle, there's an opportunity, and I think from there, I was really excited about technology, the ability to help other businesses with emerging technology, to build lists and to do all the cool stuff that I now knew how to do. It was like a wild, wild west at that point. I had a lot of opportunity. I had the opportunity to speak at national conventions about the app, about emerging technologies and stuff like that. So fortunately, I was able to parlay that and start to do some other things. And that went well for quite some time until it didn't. Industries change all the time. Ran into some problems in the local space where it became much, much more difficult to connect with local businesses simply because there was competition. And the
Ah,
competition, basically anybody can hang their shingle out and call themselves a social media marketing expert. It doesn't require education, certification, oversight, or anything. You can literally just print out your business cards, throw up a website, and you're an expert. And then it became a race to the bottom in terms of the prices that people are charging for those types of
yeah.
services, which kind of leads us to where we are now, in that it solves a big problem for people that want to get into this space, and at the same time, those that are actually in this space to approach it from a different perspective, from like an asset based agency, which is a lot different than going out there and just selling services. Most local
Hmm.
businesses, they are inundated with people that pick up the telephone and call them and try to sell them everything and anything that they possibly can, to the point where they need gatekeepers. They need people to screen these telephone calls. Yeah, a couple of our colleagues, chiropractors, restaurants, pizza shop owners, all kinds of people, we've actually been working with them on location where the competition would walk in and they would stand there and wait until we left so they could pitch them, which is
Wow.
somewhat distasteful.
Yeah.
We were there, and there's a pizza shop owner who has since sold his practice, or sold his business, who would answer the telephone in a very heavy Italian accent. His name is Sal Amato from Sal's Pizza in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania. Great guy.
Mm.
And he would answer the telephone yelling at these people like, "No, the owner's not in. He's the owner." And he's pretending to be one of the shop owners, or the shopkeepers and pizza makers and stuff like that, where he would just yell at them because his entire workflow would get interrupted for, hours on end when he's trying to work with people and answer the telephone to take pizza orders. He's answering from website designers, developers, people that are doing
Right.
lead generation, all that other kind of stuff. It's a real issue for many
Wow.
businesses where they're being solicited, is really what I'm trying to get to.
Hmm.
And then on top of that, the competition, when you've got people that are willing to do this internationally, and call internationally and try to sell you domain names and registration and all the things that we would normally handle inside a local marketing agency, you can imagine that the volume increases. So it negatively impacted our business where, they started to look at competition because their prices were cheaper, not necessarily
Right.
better results. And you had to deal with that. And when your roster starts to tank of people that you're actually working with, that's a very difficult way to support your family, let
Well,
alone two
sure.
families, right? So,
So you had built basically an agency,
mhm.
a digital marketing agency, like
Yeah,
social media. Were you doing advertising and
yeah, ads, websites,
SEM?
lead
Yeah,
generation,
lead generation, all that.
reputation management, an
But you were
array of
coming
that.
at it more general, like you were just we'd do anything, and that's at some point everyone's doing anything. You saw like during like when did you start? When did you start? When did you launch that? Like what year?
That was probably circa 2013,
13.
2014. Like,
So a lot
it's not where
changed. Yeah,
and a lot has changed since
yeah.
then, and we had it really good for a long time. Then we started specializing with certain types of local businesses like dentists and
Mm-hmm.
chiropractors and physicians and attorneys and stuff like that. And then the competition just, it just scaled way
Continued.
through the roof. And that was okay. It actually gave us a better quality of how to actually work with people consultatively. And,
All right.
it became more of a consultative type of practice for a while, providing advice and comparison. And we're not opposed to other people coming in and working with our clients. It's becomes a problem when they usher you out and then you have to go back and fix the problems and the challenges and stuff like
All
that.
right.
We like to approach it consultatively to see number one, if we could actually even help them, right? And not
All
every
right.
client, not every prospect is an ideal fit for us. Also, we're not always the ideal fit for them either. Sometimes it's price, sometimes it's understanding their business model, their lexicon, their jargon, all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
So we like to approach it consultatively, to discover what we are able to do and things that we enjoy doing. Like I particularly don't like to do SEO anymore. It changes like every 5 seconds. It's just, I can't predictably get those results that I really wanted to. So I'm glad and elated to give that to somebody else, right? Somebody that really enjoys that type of work. Whereas I
Yeah.
can get the wins in other areas and actually move the needle for those businesses in other types of ways. So yeah, that's kind of how things changed. And we now approach it from an asset-based agency first, where we do a lot of newsletter stuff. Like a lot of stuff that we do in the background is app development and AI and SaaS development in the background to do very specific things, to get very specific results in certain areas within businesses. But when you command the attention of an entire town on your email list, that gives you a lot of flexibility, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we moved into that area where instead of us trying to work with Facebook and some of these platforms to run ads to an audience, what if we just owned the audience first and
So that's
said,
the asset is
that's the
the
asset?
owning the audience. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you can do that, particularly for a local business that is trying to reach a certain segment in town, that's the whole shift to local marketing. Like local is local to somebody, right? Like
Right.
I'm in just outside of Philadelphia in a town like near Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And, Pottstown is Pottstown. Douglasville is Douglas. Philadelphia is Philadelphia. It's local to somebody, but here's the thing, and this is, for the benefit of your listeners. Most people, most people that are running businesses or live in a local area, they're super selfish in a good way, right? In a very understandable way. They're interested in what mostly impacts them on a local level, where they
Mm.
work, where they live, where they play, where they pray, where they pay their taxes. and all the other P's, right? They shop locally, they buy things locally, they eat locally, they are entertained for the most part locally, 99% of the time, unless they're traveling somewhere else. And then wherever they're traveling to is local to where they are at that given time. So we use that to our advantage. And when we can build a local email newsletter that serves up that information, local news, local events, business, crime, weather, traffic, sports, entertainment. Like that's what most people are going to say. Okay, what's happening when I go to Orlando? Here's all the attractions. Here's all the things that you can do. These are all the places that you can eat. If you command all the attention in Orlando, then you're in a very good position to point that attention to local businesses, restaurants, attorneys, physicians, massage, medical, whatever. There's all kinds of different ways to leverage that, from advertising, monetizing with banner ads and advertisement. And when you reach somebody, when you reach a locale in their inbox every single day at 5:55 a.m. when people are waking up in the morning, that's kind of interesting. When you've got a 75% open rate and you're reaching 15,000 people in an area that only has 25,000 people, there's
That's
something very
significant.
powerful
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
And you're hitting them every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not when the algorithm on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram,
Right.
when they want to show it to you. So, excuse
So
me.
are you building, okay, so we're talking a newsletter. So who owns this newsletter? Like who runs the newsletter? Are you from an agency level? You're working with agencies to help them create these newsletters, or is the business themselves? Who's the entity, or is it you
Yeah,
that's
so
creating
it's
these
me.
newsletters? It's you.
And we teach this process to other agency owners, like as a way to bypass all the other nonsense when it comes to trying to walk through the front door, like the people that are calling Sal every single day and disturbing them and bothering them. So
Yeah.
I'll ask you this: like, I'm on your podcast right now. It's a huge. It's essentially the same thing as a podcast. Hey, Matt, I'm Drew from Pottstown Local Scoop. We heard so many nice things about your business. We would love to feature you and your business in our newsletter. We reach 15,000 people in the Pottstown area. We'd love to tell everybody why your business is so awesome. Versus, hey, Matt, I want to sell you my stuff, right?
Yeah. Right.
It hits
Right.
completely different. And then later on, based on that trust, when you deliver that result and 15,000 people learned about Matt and his local business, and they start getting calls and you've already done the work in advance for a lot of these businesses that they only
Yeah.
want more. So it's been a major shift in the way that we've run our agency. And if we want more customers, we just start a new newsletter in another part of the town or another part of the state. You want another 100 new businesses, you just start another one.
I'm curious how do you market the newsletter? Like, or do you use something like MailChimp, or do you use some other or you run it yourself? How does that work?
Great
Curious.
question. So with the advancements of AI, a
Mhm.
lot of this stuff can be basically done automated. Like I would say 90% of my email newsletter is automated. And we teach this entire process. We use a platform called Beehive, which is an
Huh.
extraordinary
Mhm.
platform. It's really designed for this. World-class people. They really know what they're doing. They're the same people that were behind like Morning Brew and some of the platforms that are out there. Tyler Dank is just, world-class guy. Um, but yeah, we teach all about this in our community, where we teach everybody to go from 0 to 1,000 subscribers in about 30 days. And if they follow through in our process, we show them exactly how to get subscribers with low cost ads. And then most people get to about 1,000 subscribers in about 7 to 10 days. But overall, I don't think anybody that has followed our process has not reached at least 1,000 subscribers. And then the next question to that typically is, well, what if I want more subscribers? You just continue to do what we taught you to get 0 to 1,000 subscribers. And over time, it starts to compound. 1,000 becomes two, two becomes four, four become. We've got several people that are 20,000 subscribers plus on their
Wow.
newsletters, and they're getting press credentials. They're walking through the front door without any it's a complete identity shift from what they used to do as a local marketing agency, quote unquote, to what they're doing now. They're seen as a media company, and
Mm.
they're getting incredible opportunities to connect with those businesses in the right way. They're actually helping these local businesses while at the same time helping themselves. Their newsletters
And
are
well,
monetized.
I'm sure they can sell them like, here's our newsletter, but we also offer these other services, or they
Exactly.
can do all that. So I know you don't have to give away your secret sauce, but I'm curious. So taking a newsletter from 0 to 1,000, even just that, is there anything you can tell us, like how that works, and how somebody can get started doing that, like even
Yeah.
the average
So
person?
so here's the secret sauce. If you guys want it for free, we teach this in a free school community. The best way to find that is to go and search either local newsletter accelerator inside of school, or you can just go to local newsletter launchpad, and by the same domain name as local newsletter launchpad.com. 100% free to come in and learn it. We run these cohorts all the time. There is a little bit of a specific process to this, right? But it's worth it. We usually teach this over a 4-module process, typically about 4 days to get up and running, because there's some mindset involved. Like, it's completely a different, it's a paradigm shift in the way that most people approach marketing and online agencies. Going to 0 to 1,000 subscribers or thousands of followers on Facebook and Insta, it's a little bit of a different deal. We teach a very simple ad process, and it's surprisingly easy to do compared to all these cockamamie ad schemes and stuff out there. We show a very dedicated, simple process. Once people see it, and I don't want to give that piece away because it's a lot of fun to do. It's like, wait a second, it can't be that simple. And then all of a sudden, hundreds, thousands of people coming in, following real names, real email addresses, real subscribers on your newsletter, people that are receiving your emails every single day. But the risk here, and that is, there's zero risk involved in that, other than if you want success, this is the way that you do it, right? It's a really simple type of process to go through. And we've have testimonial after testimonial, person after person that has come in, member after member that has come in. When I say member, completely free, by the way. We're
Mhm.
teaching this process. Why are we doing it for free? Because we're sick and tired of people not getting the results that they deserve. A lot of people are really good, exceptional at website design, development, SEO, email marketing in general, social media marketing, design work, all the things. AI, they're really, really good at that kind of stuff. But all that stuff doesn't matter until you can prove that you can actually help somebody and you can build a list. If you can build this
Mhm.
type of list, we have one newsletter it's about 420 people that are on the list. It's a really small email list, but we wanted to show it, specifically that we could do this and make money from it. That one small email list, 420 people in a very small town, has generated close to $800 in 2 months' time, just from
Nice.
the ads inside the newsletter. Not the ones that we've gone out and sold, just the ads that Beehive provides inside the newsletter. 800 bucks might
Mm.
not sound like a lot of money, but if you don't have clients, $800 coming in can mean the difference of you putting money back into advertising cost and not taking it out of your pocket, right? It
Yeah.
becomes self-liquidated, self-subsidized. It allows you to grow and say, wait a second, you're the guys that run this local email newsletter? Cool. What else do you do? Right. And now all of a sudden the sales conversation changes
Oh,
entirely at
absolutely.
that point.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So Do you have any other success stories of people that have done this
Oh
that's
yeah,
kind of
it's a growing list.
changed their
Oh, it's completely changed their
yeah.
business and the way that they approach it. A lot of people, that when they're starting, they struggle with sales, right? Having
Mhm.
sales conversations. So now they are approaching businesses confidently, and they can go and show that they actually have an asset. Sherry Sanderson has built a newsletter in Knoxville, Tennessee, 20,000 people strong, and she gets invited to concerts. She gets invited to press releases, all kinds of amazing things where before she wouldn't have those opportunities. Sandy Zuniga runs Colorado Springs Town Tidings out in Colorado, and she's doing like TV commercial type, like production type of stuff now. And just Mike Kidd runs something in Cape May, New Jersey. It's just person after person, and some
Yeah.
people, have never had anyone subscribe to anything that they've had, and suddenly they've got 800, 1,000, 2,000, 8,000 people on their email newsletter list. Um, and that's what's probably the most rewarding to me now, is to see people realize that they've got real value to their local community. And
Right.
sometimes that's just like sharing the local volleyball team just went to districts or something like that. And the kids love seeing their pictures and stuff inside the newsletters. And thousands of local people are reading their story where before
Yeah.
they never had that. So lots of fun stories.
That is pretty cool. As somebody, I've had lists in the past. I've had a few false starts in recent years around the agency life, but I had a list. I remember this list I had. You talk about the size of a list. I was back in the 2000s. I was big into actually pay per click and affiliate marketing and stuff, and I had my own products, digital products, memberships, and I had a list about. I think it peaked at around 8 or 10,000. But these were people that were interested in this, nerd teaching how to do pay per click. I mean, it was
Yeah,
very specific,
sure.
but it opened up so many it wasn't like I knew people that had lists of hundreds of thousands or a million people, and it's like, but mine was so responsive and very specific, and it was very easy to sell things to them. Whether back in the day it was like maybe software to do some particular thing or what we did,
Yeah.
and it was an asset because it didn't matter. I had my website, yeah, I got traffic and stuff like that, but I could always rely on that newsletter to and people could follow what I was doing, and I could promote other people's stuff in there. It's a really good thing to have for a business.
Yeah, it brings a lot
Yeah.
of comfort. And congratulations on
Yeah.
that success. That's a lot of people
Yeah.
still believe in PPC, and you should restart and relaunch that because it's still a thing.
Yeah, I got burned out about 2012. I cashed out. I decided to get into web design and development and
Yeah,
be more creative or something.
sure.
But yeah, those are fun days. Those are wild, wild west days. Of course, we were doing a lot of crazy stuff back then. So, in terms of you, so business is good for you. You don't regret leaving the medical world and doing this
No,
thing.
no. I've had some opportunities to do some things technically. In that I've got two daughters. I have three daughters, two of which are going into the medical field. So I've done some consulting on the side, and there's always like I've built substantial lists of like nurses and physicians and extenders and
Mm,
stuff like that. So the interesting thing about that is a lot of them are interested in this type of stuff now. They're interested in vibe coding. They're interested in, doing side hustle type of stuff. And I'm
right.
like, huh, I can still speak their language and I understand all that kind of stuff. But, I try to stay away from the clinical side of things other than, if there's an advancement with, certain types of treatments and drugs and stuff like that that are getting results and helping people, I'm, vaguely interested in that kind of stuff. But I'm also seeing opportunities for people that work in the space that get burnt out, that they've been
Mm,
working, 16, 18 hours a day for weeks, and they just can't do another shift, and they're missing out on their families and stuff. And if they could just make an additional five to $10,000 per month, that might mean that they don't have to have an additional day in the clinic or an additional 2 or 3 days. They can go down to 3 days or 2 days per week and still have a lifestyle that they're accustomed to without being burnt out. Because a lot of people, myself included, we'd really love helping people in this space, but there's something to be said about the industry and the shortage of care providers and people that are qualified to take care of people, that the demand goes so heavy on you that it can be very taxing on your
Mhm.
body. So I'm trying to find a way to help my colleagues, former colleagues, transverse that digital divide and help
Mm.
them say, hey, you can create a digital product. You can, here, you need to go to Matt and get this website designed. You create the digital product and then run some ads to it, and you might end up making 5 to 10, $15,000 off of this product and have a quality of life where you can spend more time and energy with your patients when you want to,
Yeah.
or you can spend more time and energy with your wife or your husband or your kids, or just go on vacation by yourself, right? And or buy
Yeah.
that thing or get yourself out of debt. Um, yeah, it becomes a little bit of a, instead of me making more money, it's more like, hey, how can I help other people make some more money with this? And if you can, I think Zig Ziglar said it. Maybe it was him. Maybe it was somebody else.
If you help enough people get what they want, you finish it. They'll help
You'll
you
get
get
all the things
something
that
like
you
that.
want back in
Yeah.
return, or you'll get everything
Yeah.
that you
I know
want as well.
exactly.
Something along those lines. But yeah,
Yeah.
you get the idea, and that's really probably the main reason why I got into healthcare, is like if I can help enough people get more care and comfort and less pain and recovery, then that's a good thing. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody would
Yeah.
argue with something like that.
100%. That's awesome. That's awesome. Especially, yeah, spending all that time in healthcare and going through everything you did, um, and the joke leaving.
Yeah, I
I'm
still can't
going, I
believe I
can,
did that. It was fun though.
but it all led to somewhere good. You're doing good stuff in the world. It's awesome. So if somebody wants to learn more about what you do, they want to, reach out to you, find you, do you hang out somewhere on the World Wide Web? Where's your website?
Yeah, so I mean, probably the best way to find out more about what it is, you can connect with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Drew, M as in Michael, Griffin, Griffin. If you want to learn about the newsletter stuff and all the different AI softwares that we're talking about, the best way to do that is to head over to local newsletter launchpad, all one word, .com, localnewsletterlaunchpad.com, and totally free to join and learn about all this kind of stuff. And yeah, you'll learn about all the different AI softwares and technologies and automations, and don't let any of that intimidate you. It's a lot of fun once you see things working automatically for you in the background, so you can just spend more time doing all the fun stuff that you actually want to do in life. So yeah, that's the best way to connect with me.
Very nice. Well, Drew, thanks for sharing everything. It's inspiring. It's very cool hearing about local stuff. Like I said, you're kind of making me think a little bit as well, and hopefully somebody listening will be thinking about this.
Yeah,
Until
I'm
next time,
grateful for the time and the opportunity.
you bet. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.